Welcome to the Great British Crochet Off technical version, where I discuss the technical aspects of this week's episode of the Great British Crochet Off, a series where I watch an episode of the Great British Bake Off and then crochet something that inspired me from it. If you missed this week's episode, you can get to it right up here. And in it, I showed off my giant eclair body pillow that I made. So let's go back in time and see how I got here.
So this week is Patisserie week, and I have a confession to make. I already knew what I was going to make before I watched this episode, because I remember that there was an eclair challenge in this episode because they made those giant eclair towers, and that episode has just stuck in my head. And I had told myself months and months and months and months and months ago that if they ever get an eclair challenge, I know exactly what I want to make. So I'm going to turn this body pillow into a giant crocheted eclair. I'm going to be using this big twist posh. This I'm going to do for the base of the eclair, and then I want it to have chocolate on top. So I'm going to use, this one's called Croissant. This one is, I think, brown butter or brown butter. I'm going to use this to be like a chocolate topping, and then I've been making this cat stitch blanket that I need to weave in the ends for, and when I weave in the ends, the little clippings are going to be sprinkles on top, because I'm sorry, I need to put sprinkles on top. I think I'm also going to do a line on the side that's like the cream filling, because I want it to look like one of the split in half eclairs, not like the pumped in the bottom eclairs. Does that make sense? And I played around already with a couple of different swatches for this, because I have used this yarn with knitting needles before, and I felt like I had to size down on needles, but I'm going to be doing the 8mm crochet hook on this. For one thing, I want this yarn to go as far as it can. This yarn's kind of expensive, and so I don't want to use like a ridiculous amount. And I'm okay if it's kind of not see-through. I'm okay if you can pull it apart, because I'm going to switch out this cover, and I have a white cover that I'm going to use underneath. So in case you see anything through, you're just going to see like the white cream filling. This one's probably going to take me a little more time than my usual Great British Crochet Off projects take me, because she's big. But that's why I'm doing like a recap episode this next week, to give myself all the time that I need. So I'm going to crochet a big tube out of the light tan yarn, and then I'm going to put the chocolate on top. I know it's probably like a waste of yarn because all that tan yarn won't be seen, but I really want the chocolate to be like a layer on top and not incorporated into it. So I chained, it ended up being 81, which is an odd number, which I don't love, but that's life. I chained 81, and then I've been using half double crochets and just working up this tube, and it's going to be a while. I'll probably check back in when I'm a few more feet along, but this is how it's looking so far. It's so squishy and soft. I cannot wait to have this on my bed. So I have been going and going and going, and I think I'm over halfway done, and I've gone through 2 of these, so I'm probably going to need at least one more after this one, if you include doing something for the ends. But I'm actually farther along than I thought I was, so that is a lovely relief. So I finally finished the tube. The ends aren't closed yet because I'm not sure what I want to do to close them up. If I want to like crochet a circle or sew them closed or what. But they do stretch enough, so if I wanted to sew them closed, I could. So what I'm going to do next is make a long rectangle out of this to be like the chocolate on top. And I was thinking about playing around with a bunch of different stitches for it, but we're also going to have sprinkles on top, and then we're going to have like the cream on the sides, and I don't want to make it too busy, so I think I'm just going to stick with the same half double stitch. But this will at least go a lot faster because this is only like a rectangle of about yay to yay big. So this is where I am so far with my little frosting ganache stripe. I'm like 2/3 of the way done, so I'm starting to think sprinkles. I like to try and use little scrappy bits as sprinkles, just because it reduces some waste, and they're perfectly gorgeous little scrappy bits anyways. I have these from my cat stitch blanket, but I just feel like maybe this isn't the color palette that I want on here.
So I pulled all of this like kind of rainbow of sprinkles, and I think I'm gonna try and just like crochet some sprinkles because I think this color palette brings me more joy. I don't know if I'm gonna use both these greens or if I'm gonna use one or the other, and I don't know, maybe I'll add in some more color shades, but yeah, this brings me more joy. So I'm gonna finish up my little fudge stripe and then I'm gonna get to start on sprinkles. I finished making all of the ganache layer, and then now I've been playing around with different sprinkle options. So I played around with just doing like a single string, which is how I've done sprinkles a lot in the past. But that's kind of small for like this big of a canvas. And then I played around with, this is a chain and it also seems a little small. And then this is, I chained down and single crocheted back up, and I think this is what I'm gonna go with. I played around with doing a dot as well, kind of like polka dot sprinkles, but I think I like this one the most. So I'm going to make about 10 to 15 in each of the colors that I have here. And then I'm going to, because I really like sprinkles, so I want to make sure it's well covered. Before I sew this onto the eclair, we're going to do all the sprinkles onto here. So that's going to be the next step, just making a ton of these guys. So I made about 15 in each color, and I had about 7 colors, and I chained anywhere between 8 and 10, and then single crocheted back up, so there's a little variety in size. I'm gonna finish this up, and then I'll pin some on, and I'll see if it needs more. All right, so all of the base sprinkles are on. I still can't decide if I'm gonna add more or not, and quite frankly, I could do that a little bit kind of as the last touch. So as another last touch, it is giving Long John vibes, which I'm not mad about. I have no problem with having a donut pillow. But I think what's going to help with, I'm going to make like a little cream line around the edge using the same Posh yarn, but this is the white one. I don't know what the color's name is, but it's the white one. So I'm going to play around with a couple of bobble stitch options using this white yarn that I'll just sew on afterwards because I usually end up using bobble stitches to do like a cream filling on these projects. So I played around with the bobble, the puff, and then also a popcorn stitch, which I partially undid because I just didn't like it for this particular project. And I think I'm gonna go with the bobble because it's giving me those like dollops of whipped cream sticking out of the side of a pastry vibe. That's why I use the bobble for that thing all the time because it just works. So I did some rough measuring around my pillow, and I think I'm going to need 77 inches of the bobble stitch to go around. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to make myself a quick swatch so I can actually measure how many stitches it takes to get to 77 stitches. And then I'm going to chain and then crochet a single crochet line just so I have some more structure because I'll need to sew this onto my project, and then we'll do our bobbles. So I'm just doing some rough math because I know that I can always make more of this and sew more on it. It doesn't all need to be one piece. But basically 4 of these takes 12 stitches to do 4 of these because I'm doing a bobble and then I'm doing 2 single crochets and then I'm doing a bobble. And those 12 stitches to make those 4 bobbles takes up 3.5 inches. So by that math, in order to get 77 inches worth of this, I think I have to do 264 stitches. So we're gonna start with that, and then I'm gonna chain it. I'm gonna do my single crochets, and I'll see if that wraps around my eclair, and then I can always adjust from there. Okay, so I made all of my little cream puff polyps here. I don't know if there's enough, but what I need to do next before I attach them is make at least one end cap for the pillow, so we're gonna do that. And ta-da! I skipped filming a couple of steps because quite frankly they weren't that interesting and you really didn't need to know about them. I made an oval that was wide enough for this. I sewed it on, and then I sewed on my little drops of filling, my little cream filling. And then I sewed on my ganache layer and I put my pillow in it, and she's done and she's gorgeous and she's beautiful. And now she gets to live on this bed, and I'm going to cuddle with her every single night. So if you have any questions about how to make this, let me know because it was fun and it's so good.